All right, so hey, let's help CT over across the United States make this panel down here, the patch panel. I saw he was making this. He's having a lot of difficulty with it. Let's talk about it first. The problem with making these is right here. You have this section right here, all the way here down, it's a compound bend. So you've got a bend that goes this way around here, okay, and it has a bend that goes this way. And anytime, and there's a little lip at the bottom. I don't know if this one's really done right. I don't know how good a shape it's in, but anyway, he was having trouble getting this to work, so he decided to make it in 3 pieces or 2 pieces, which is, that's one way to do it. So you can either make this thing in pieces by making this section and then welding a piece onto here to make that, or you could use something called relief cuts. So we're going to do it with relief cuts. It's much easier to do that way, and so you got to kind of figure ahead of what you're trying to do. So first thing I'm going to do is cut it out a piece of sheet metal. So I'm going to go ahead and guesstimate the size. I'm just going to use this piece of random metal here, and let's say it's about like this. Gonna kind of waste a piece of sheet metal to help him out. So I'm struggling so much. We gotta do something here. So it's about, let's say, this wide, because I gotta add for the lip. I just kind of square out like this. A little burr right there. Okay, let's cut out a piece of sheet metal like this. All right. It's almost easier to start with a square. I really know that we're going to need a sheet that's going to be cut in an angle like this. That's what we're going to need, really. But I'm going to go ahead and just make this so that he can kind of figure out how to do it real quick himself. So a lot of times when you look at this, you think, I want to make that bottom bend or this roundness first. Now that's really the wrong way to do it if you're gonna try and make this piece. So what he did is he bent this round first and tried to get this part of the metal. What you want to do is, first of all, is take your piece of metal and you want to make this bend. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this piece here, and we know that we want it to bend over from right here, and then we're going to roll it down to the bottom. And I'm looking on the inside of the panel, and it wants to go about down to where it's about right here. And it's a little bit, it's actually, if you look at it right here, it's actually straight. So if it was compounded, so if it was like this or something like that, I'm giving you over exaggerating, then you would not be able to do this, but it is actually straight down. So the first thing we want to do is we want to bend this portion right where those 2 lines are. I'll go ahead and do that on the metal bender. You could do this with duckbill pliers or whatever, but we want to bend a line. It's going to do this without a straight edge, but we want to bend a line from right here to here. Okay, so let's do that first. So now that we've got this bent, you can notice I got this bent right on, pretty much on the same frame. So we know that this is going to be that inner panel. So what we want to do now is we want to cut off a guesstimated area. I'm going to say we can always grind it down. We want it to be at least a little bit bigger than what's there. So we're going to cut off from here to here. So we're going to make it so that's going to be your, this is going to be that lip that you see on the fender well. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to take our straight edge, draw a line like this. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut that piece off with our, just going to use our shear because we want to do this the easy way. It'd be easier to use a plasma cutter with a straight edge, but let's do it with the shear. I'll bring you right back in. So now we have this piece made. Now the problem is that now we can't bend it, right? Well, how you do that is by doing something called relief cut or pie cuts. So one of the things I know is at the very bottom there's a little lip. Okay, so I'm going to relief cut it right here up a little bit. Okay, we're actually going to cut out a little section right here. And what this is, because I know, thinking ahead a little bit, we want to make that little lip on the bottom, that's going to be bent out, right? So right along here, we're going to have that's going to be bent out when we finally get the final thing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece out right now. Now the next thing I want to do is make it so I can bend this. Okay, and what you have to do is just take and cut little pieces along here so that we can make this shape we need to. So we're going to go ahead and just make several cuts along here. When it needs to be bent more tight, you need to make your cuts a lot closer together. When it's less of a curve, you make your cuts further apart. So this one here we're going to do like pretty close together because we know that up down here it needs to be bent really a hard curve. If you look at the metal panel, let's go look at it right now. So you see how it kind of goes at a slower bend here, and then as it goes further down it starts to really cut the corner. So those have to be closer together where you're going to get relief cuts to be able to bend. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bend is go ahead and cut these relief cuts. You can use anything you want to cut it. You can use, it's easier if I use my plasma cutter, I could get a little bit further into the corner. So we might have a little bit. We're going to cut all these all the way along like that, and I'll bring you back in a second. So now we can actually bend this piece however we want. I might have to take a little saw and cut them all. They have to be bent, cut all the way up into the corner, because I can feel I'm not able to bend it yet. Well, maybe I can. Yeah, that's doing it. You see here, I'm able to bend this part now. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this shape that we need. And normally what I do at this point is I would put it on the car and use a hammer and stuff like that and work it into the shape. Hammer and dolly. Let's get a hammer and dolly and we'll just do it here. It's a little harder to do. And then we'll bend this part here at the very end. Alright, so how I'm going to do this is try to put this dolly in the vise because it'll be easier to hold. Since I don't have the car, I'm going to try and get this to shape. Pretty much get that shape. Okay. Might fall out of here. I have a new vise that I haven't got hooked up yet. I've got a really big one. Thinking that's about right. I'll take it over to the car and I'm going to check it real quick and see if I'm in the right place. But I think you guys get the idea now, right? Those of you guys who are watching CT struggle with that piece. It's really not a hard piece to make. So it's a little bit different. I think it was a route right here where I could have my bend. Notice I'm not really worried about these right now because I'm just going to take these and hammer them down when I get it all done and weld it up. So it's about like that. Okay. Let me go ahead and bend this bottom. So I'll just go ahead and put this in my metal bender and bend the bottom edge. You could do that again with a pair of duckbill pliers and a hammer and bend that over and fit this piece on. So again, now here's your bottom lip where it welds on, right? What I would do now is, again, I would just take this, put it on the car and start working it. Okay? And then when I go ahead and pound these down and then just weld them up, I wouldn't even bother to try and pie cut these. You could actually, if you wanted to, you could take your cutter and cut off all the tangs and then make it so the metal's not stacked if you wanted to. But when you put the filler on there, you'll never see that. So you can only see it from this side, which is blind. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to go ahead and, I think this is around the right shape, but I'm going to assume it is. I'll take this, and then just do that. They're all down nice and flat. I can know that this is in shape right here. And I'll go ahead and just do a little more shaping of that. Okay, now you can imagine once these are welded up, you can weld up all those cracks all the way along, grind them all off, really nice. That is your patch panel for that little area. So it's really not hard to make these guys. Let's go look at it on the car, see if I got the shape right. So let's just put it up here and take a look. Yeah, we're pretty much right there. All I have to do is a little bit more shaping here. I go ahead at this point, what I do is, like I said, I would weld these up. I would go ahead and take this piece and I would cut this, actually I would go ahead and grind it down, clean it, put some, clamp this down, spot weld this in place, okay? And then what I would do is cut through the old metal, okay, and butt weld this into place and do what I call cut into butt. So you're going to cut this at this line here, and then I would go ahead and butt it, and then do a little bit more cut, and then a little bit more butting, a little bit more cut, a little more butting, until that fit right into place. So that's how you make that. If you guys were wondering, maybe you don't know how to make this, something like that, it's really, you got to think about what you can't do. You know that you can't bend this part like this, okay, and you know that if you make this part bent, that you're not going to be able to bend this edge. So you got to think like ahead a little bit and do your bend first, and then make relief cuts so that you can actually get that to shape into place. And that's all you got to do. And then finish it out with a little bit of filler, and you're all done. Pinch weld the bottom, or you could drill and plug weld it, however you wanted to get that on there. So anyway, I hope that helps you if you've got that situation like CT. And I know he's having a difficult time with this, and he took a long time, and I know he worked really hard at that and kind of did it the bass-backwards way, but that's how everybody learns. You guys, I know some guys are ragging on CT. He's brand new at this. He's never done anything like this. This is like so far out of his element. I mean, he's like more of a bookworm, I want to say, than an auto mechanic or a body and paint guy. But he just really wants to do it. So stay with him, watch his video, and encourage him with comments, and we'll continue to help him over the phone and continue to help him with these little tutorials along the way so he can get his project done. I'll talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. See your comments, and appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this and I know that he's going to really appreciate your comments on there too. Talk to you next one.